Now that the July trading deadline is over, we enter the month of August with several questions rising like the grass out of the earth. Can Terry Francona's club stay in contention for a postseason berth? Who will emerge from a group of young pitchers to earn a rotation spot? Will Jose Ramirez earn his rights at shortstop? And who will pick it up on offense as the stretch drive begins? The answers start next on Sports Time Ohio. On a warm night in downtown Cleveland, the Indians welcome in the Texas Rangers for a 3-game series beginning tonight, right here on Sports Time Ohio. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. The Indians are struggling to find their mojo here at home, but as the saying goes, you think you got problems. The Texas Rangers limp into town with the worst record now in all of Major League Baseball. Maybe that's a good thing for Danny Salazar, Rick, as he looks to build off 2 very good starts. He's got a win in each of his 2 starts since getting called back.
And I'll tell you, winning both of those starts on the road, one in Kansas City where he went 5, in Minnesota where he went 5 innings. In Kansas City, he went 7 innings. And what Danny has to do is locate his fastball, move it around. To the right-handers, he's really got to try and locate it down and away because they're hitting 300 off him, but he's thrown the ball very well. His last 2 starts since his recall, 2-0. He will be matched up against Jerome Williams, making his second start for the Texas Rangers tonight.
Yeah, we've seen Williams in the past pitching out of the bullpen when he was with the Angels, now with the Rangers in the starting pitching rotation. The Indians, well, they've had good success against the Texas Rangers. They've won 8 of their last 9 against their rivals from the Lone Star State. The play-by-play is coming up next. All is brought to you by McDonald's. I'm loving it. By your local Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. By Panini's. Get overstuffed at Panini's Bar and Grill. And by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. And welcome in to Progressive Field. A special ceremony on the field before the game tonight. Tom Hamilton being recognized 25 years, the voice of the Cleveland Indians, heard on the Indians radio network throughout the state of Ohio. My pleasure to work alongside Tom for 7 years on the Indians radio network. He's without question one of the best in the business and one of the best to ever grace the airwaves here in Cleveland, and a well-deserved night of recognition for Hammy, and great to have all the guys, or at least a large contingent of the guys from the 90s, and of course Travis Hafner, you see him in there as well. John Hart, Mark Clark, Carlos Baerga, Charlie Manuel, Kenny Lofton, Jim Thome, of course, will be honored tomorrow night, but really a great reunion of sorts right here on the field tonight.
It really is. It's a beautiful evening. They're getting out there, getting some pictures. Now, Tom's family, great kids, great 2 boys, 2 girls. Well done. And they want Sandy to come out there and say, hey, this game's going to start in a few minutes. He's getting ready for action.
Nick, Brad, Katie, Kelsey, and Tom's wife, Wendy, all on the field. And family has always been a huge part of Tom Hamilton's life. And he paid tribute to all 4 of his kids and, of course, his wife, Wendy. And, you know, of course, I know a lot of fans have followed the Indians and followed Tom's career, know that his son, Nick, was drafted by the Indians, started his pro career in the Indians minor league system, and now his youngest son, Brad, or younger son, Brad, is going to start his college career next fall at Kent State University as a baseball player as well. So baseball is certainly a big part of the Hamilton family's life. And here tonight, we got baseball, and we're going to be a few minutes late getting underway here this evening as the Indians tangle with the Texas Rangers. But before today's game, the Indians once again with some roster maneuvering. Zach McAllister designated for assignment because last night, well, he didn't pitch very well. He went 3 1/3, was knocked out of the ball game, and the Indians are hopeful that he'll clear waivers and eventually go back to AAA Columbus and try to get better.
Yeah, he's basically turned into a one-pitch pitcher, and, you know, since the start of the year where he won his first couple of starts, has hit rock bottom here. And, you know, for Zach McAllister, it's been a lot of that backing up. He had a rough time and a rough go of it, especially last night.
The Indians have called up Tyler Holt, so he'll be in uniform, so they've got an extra outfielder, and a big reason for that is because Chris Dickerson tweaked his knee last night in the ballgame, had to come out early in the game. And it's not a DL situation as far as they look at it right now, but he's not really available to go tonight, so they needed a little help, a little insurance, an extra outfielder. And so Tyler Holt is with the ball club. He's in uniform, ready to go tonight. Boy, Kenny Lofton looks like he could still play. Might want to throw a uniform on him and run him out there in the starting lineup tonight. Kenny on hand for the ceremonies this weekend. One of the Indians' all-time greats, of course. All right, Tribe takes the field behind Danny Salazar. Trying to build off his last 2 starts. He's won both of them, and he's looked very good last 2 times out. Here's a lineup that he will face tonight. For Ron Washington and the Texas Rangers, SHIN-SOO struggling through a subpar season, batting just .240. He's in the leadoff spot. Then it's Elvis Andrus, followed by Alex Rios, Adrian Beltre, Jim Aducci, J.P. Arancibia in the middle. LEONYS Martin 7th, Robinson Chirinos will bat 8th, and Rougned Odor will hit 9th.
Our GMC starting pitcher will be Danny Salazar, who is making his 11th start of the season. Danny has never faced the Texas Rangers. This will be his first start, and he's coming off 2 wins, and those 2 wins were on the road. His first 2 career wins away from Progressive Field. One was at Minnesota, his last at Kansas City, and that one he went 7 innings. He gave up 7 hits, 3 runs. He struck out 7, but what I liked, he did not walk a batter in his last start. We'll see if he has that kind of control here tonight. Let's set the key of defense behind Salazar. It looks like this. In the outfield, it'll be Rayburn in left, Brantley in center, Murphy is in right, Chisenhall at third, Aviles is at short, Kipnis at second, Santana at first, and Gomes behind the plate.
Jim Joyce. You'll have no trouble hearing him tonight. He's the home plate umpire and the crew chief. Marvin Hudson, Doug Eddings, Corey BLASER on the bases. Well, Ron Washington's club just besieged by injuries this year. And while they were game for 2/3 of the season, or at least I should say the first 2 months of the season, they were hanging around, hanging in there. But eventually you just can't.
No, you can't
maintain
keep it together. No, not with the pitchers. They're missing some quality people, and they've lost. They've used 53 players this year, which is a high for all of baseball. It's just been one of those years, and I think it started out that way to begin with.
Well, Shin-Soo Choo, and he'll lead it off. And Salazar's first pitch of the night downstairs. Ball one. Choo still has a good eye at the plate. He's drawn 54 walks, so even though the batting average at 240, the on-base percentage at 351. But certainly the money they gave him, the contract, what they invested in him, certainly they were hoping for more production at the top of the lineup. And maybe that had an impact on Choo, the injuries and the attrition throughout the lineup. I don't know.
Well, he's turned into a guy that takes a lot of pitches now. He used to have some pretty good pop when he was hitting third in this Indians lineup. And then I would say, what was it, when Manny Acta was here, Choo was struggling. He had been hit by a few pitches on the inside part of the plate, missed some time. He was like afraid of the ball. They moved him into the leadoff spot to get him some more fastballs.
Seemed to really help him.
And it got him going is what he did.
Ryan Rayburn in foul territory is there, and that's out number one. All right, Danny Salazar on the hill tonight for the Indians, and with more on the Indians' right-handed starter, let's go downstairs and bring in Katie with him.
Well, Danny Salazar right now is in a good place. In fact, when I asked his pitching coach, Mickey Callaway, about him today, he said what's probably impressed him the most is not only does he have his mechanics and a very consistent delivery right now, but he's got that confidence back. The most important thing, though, Matt, is conviction behind every pitch. When he first was called up last year, that's what you saw from him. He has it back, and that has Callaway saying the best from Danny Salazar is yet to come, and we're going to see it these last 2 months.
Well, that's certainly very good news. And Katie also was reporting that Danny saw Trevor Bauer, warming up before games with that black tube band. Yeah. I don't know what you call it, but it's a unique device that he uses to get his shoulder loose. And Salazar was kind of watching him say, "Hey, can I try that?" So Bauer was kind of showing him how it works, and so Salazar has been using that to get himself ready for ball games. Just another tool, and all part of being a good teammate.
You see somebody doing something, and they go out and have a little bit of success, and you say, "Hey, what is that?" You're
curious, right?
Yes, you're curious. You want to know what's going on. Ooh. You can explain it to them, so it's worth a try, isn't it?
Murph tells me it's actually called a shoulder tube. There it is. Now the 1-2 pitch. Bounce toward second base. Kipnis on the big hop is there. 2 away. Keys to the game brought to you by Wayside Furniture. Break the trend. The Indians have lost 3 straight series openers. And for Danny Salazar, efficiency early gets him deeper into the ballgame. And that's ultimately the name of the game for starters. Alex Rios, his name was out there prominently up until yesterday's 4 o'clock trading deadline. And there are still a lot of people who think he could be traded here in the month of August. The only difference now, and Rick, you know this, but for those who do not know, players must now clear waivers before they're able to be traded. Little tapper back to the mound. Many feel Rios, because of the salary he earns, will clear waivers and could still be moved here in the month of August. A 1-2-3 first for Danny Salazar. Here at Progressive Field, and for the Cleveland Indians under manager Terry Francona, here is the Tribe starting lineup brought to you by Progressive. Jason Kipnis, Mike AVILES, Michael Brantley. Then it's Carlos Santana, Lonnie Chisenhall, and Nick Swisher. Yan Gomes, David Murphy, and Ryan Rayburn.
GMC starting pitcher, 32-year-old right-hander Jerome Williams. You can see his starts season with Houston and now Texas. His record 2-4, 53 2/3 innings, 16 walks, 42 strikeouts. In his career, he's 0-1 against the Indians in 2 starts.
Jason Kipnis lines one up the middle into center field, a base hit. Boy, he's starting to heat up a little bit. He had a good night last night swinging the bat, hit a home run, also doubled the deep center. That's certainly a positive development for this Indians lineup.
Check the defense for the Texas Rangers, brought to you by Kia. Aducci is in left field, Martin in center, Chu in right. Beltre at third, Andrus is at short, Odor is at second, Arancibia at first, Chirinos behind the plate. 75 errors. They are just right in front of the Cleveland Indians when it comes to errors. The Indians have made 81 on the season.
Mike AVILES taking a strike. Kipnis back with a dive. He has 15 steals on the season. Those 15 stolen bases lead the club. And a strike over the outside corner. Quickly 0-2. AVILES batting .293 here at home this year. Hit off the dish. Knocked him back a little bit. Another throw over, but Kipnis able to get back standing up that time. Slowly tapped back to the mound. Williams has it, goes to second. There's one. And AVILES beats it out at first base. Although the first baseman, Arancibia, pointed to the dugout, he wants Ron Washington to come out and maybe challenge the play. He felt like they had him, but the call by first base umpire Marvin Hudson on the field was safe at first.
I'll tell you, it was awfully close there. It was bang, bang when you look at it. And Arancibia, you watch, it wasn't hit that hard. Williams gets the ball over to Andrus in turn. He gets it over to first base. I don't know if there's enough there to overturn it. But
I think Ron Washington's going to pass.
Yeah, I think that's a smart move. That was really tough to tell. It'll be a fielder's choice.
Rick, that's about as close to a tie as you will see.
I know. That's why you can't challenge it. It's the first inning. You don't want to take a chance because he was called safe. So for them to overturn it, they'd have to have an awful lot of evidence.
So one out. Michael Brantley, the batter, with AVILES at first. Brantley batting .354 at home this year. Drives this one to deep right center field. That's in the alley. That'll go to the wall. AVILES speeding around third. They're going to wave him home. Here's the relay throw to the plate. He is safe. And the Indians will play from in front. Michael Brantley with his 10th double of the year, or make that his 28th double of the year, and his 67th run batted in. And AVILES had to hammer down all the way from first, able to score.
Yeah, you see it in the gap, and the reason why you can score from first base on that one is because you knew it was going to be in the gap. And it was going to go all the way to the wall, so you just air it out. This will be on McDonald's. I'm loving it. Michael Brantley jumped on a 90-mile-an-hour fastball and drilled it into the gap. So here he comes. They don't hesitate. They send him. He slides. He's safe. It's 1-0 Tribe.
CHOO made a good play on the carom, grabbing it with the bare hand. A good throw to Odor, but Odor couldn't get enough on the throw to have a chance at the plate. Now Carlos Santana with Brantley in scoring position. Down and in, 2 balls, no strikes. Look at that in the last 9 games. Santana just red hot. 2-0 pitch. Though it has appeared, at least in the last few games, first games against Seattle, looks like he's maybe in a mode where he's trying to get out in front and hit the ball to right field to hit it out of here. Maybe he's swinging and getting a little long.
Had a couple pull swings, but the one thing I did like yesterday was in the 8th inning where he went the other way. They were shifting on him. Remember, he almost hit Ramirez with the ball. He took what they were giving him. That was a base hit the other way. That's how you beat the shift.
Well, he takes the walk here, and he's done that more than anybody in the American League this year. That's the 74th walk this year for Carlos Santana, most in the AL. Our stat of the game brought to you by Buick. The Indians have won 8 out of 9. Why? Well, they've outscored them, quite simply. And they've really pitched much better. I mean, this has been the problem for Texas. Their starting pitching rotation has been in ruins. But even when the Indians faced Yu Darvish down in Texas, they had a good approach against him, and they could have won that game.
Well, Darvish had a 4-0 lead, and they came back and tied it up. And you're right, he ended up going, I think, just about 5. Not much more, but he ended up getting the win.
Lonnie Chisenhall drives one to left field. Aducci makes the catch, and the runners have to hold. Good opposite field drive by Chisenhall. But that is out number 2. It's going to bring up Nick Swisher. So Swisher, who's been in a pretty good groove in his last 4 games. He's had it hit in every one, going 6 for 14. And he's had some extra base pop, a couple of doubles. In the dirt, nicely picked by Chirinos. Brantley at second, Santana at first with 2 away. Good pitch. Williams tied him up.
Yeah, he threw him. It looked like a cutter or maybe a slider on the inside part. It looked a little hard for a slider, but got him to swing over the top of it.
Slicing, that's going to get out of play. Jerome Williams is a guy who has he's been sort of the swing man throughout his career in the big leagues. He's pitched out of the bullpen, but he's also been a guy who can start. Seems like every year you look through his career, there's a handful of starts every single season.
Yeah.
Not easy to do. Well, he gets a key strikeout to avoid any further damage, but Michael Brantley gives the Indians the early lead with his 28th double of the year. Northern Ohio Honda dealers. By the Cleveland Clinic. Call today for an appointment today. And by the Northeast Ohio Ford dealers. The Indians lead it 1-0 as we go to the second inning. Adrian, Beltre, Jim Aduce, and J.P. Arancibia due up for Texas. And a fastball down low to Beltre, who's hit 15 homers. He's driven in 58 and still having a very solid year all around despite the chaos surrounding him.
Yeah, he has been a constant in that spot in the lineup. 22 doubles, but you know, I'm surprised at the 323 average because who's really hitting behind him and when you have an opportunity to pitch around him. You can see number 3 in the league. Solid year, and this guy has been a good player for a long time. I'll tell you, he's borderline Hall of Fame when he gets out of it, when you look at his numbers, because he can play on the defensive side of the ball as well.
Very, very impressive career numbers for Beltre.
They are. Look at that. And I mean, he's not slowing down. He's still going pretty strong.
Salazar with a walk to Beltre almost looked like he just wasn't going to give him anything.
I don't blame him.
Close that he could really do any damage with. Well, I mentioned that right at the top of the telecast before the ball game, the Indians paying tribute to Tom Hamilton. 25 years as the voice of the tribe, and a lot of the guys from the 90s on hand to celebrate. And of course, tomorrow Jim Thome will have a statue unveiled in his honor. So a lot of the guys are here to help celebrate Tom Hamilton's quarter century behind the microphone. And Hammy,
he's back at it right now.
From celebrating to right back on the air.
He ran up the stairs. I don't even think he waited for the elevator. That's
like Rocky.
Yeah.
Well, he's got his family members from Wisconsin in town. A lot of his buddies from Wisconsin. are in town. So
what a great guy and well deserved.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun on the radio side working together 7 years, and of course you've known Hammy. Well, you've been doing this almost as long as he has.
We started the same year, in 1990.
1-0 pitch. Salazar fires it by Aduce, 94-mile-an-hour fastball. And I was joking around when we were looking at the lineups today. I said, look, Jim Aduce must be from Niagara Falls. And you said, wait a minute. I played with the Jim Aduce.
I did in Milwaukee.
And this is his son.
That's right. You looked it up and found out that, yeah, this is Jim's son. I've got to go introduce myself to him.
It all comes full circle, folks. The 1-1.
And Jim Aduce was a left-handed hitting outfielder when he played. His dad was.
And that's when you were in Milwaukee?
Yeah, I was on the tail end of my career, and they were coming up.
Well, this young man getting an opportunity this year.
Well, there's been a lot of people in the blue uniforms getting opportunities. You know, if anything, and you know, nothing good comes from injuries like the Rangers have had all year long. But if anything positive can come out of it, they certainly have had a chance to check out their organization and see how some guys can handle situations. Not only do you bring guys up to the big leagues and you get a look at them and a look-see, but you're forcing younger kids to go up and fill holes that are, you know, created back at AAA, AA, as everybody else has to be called up.
No, Aduce coming off a good homestand. He went 6 for 16 in the 6 games back in Arlington, and that was on the heels of a 1 for 15 slump.
No, I really don't. As I said, we haven't played these guys since early June. I don't know these guys if you would start the runner here. Probably, yes, they do.
Well, Danny Salazar has walked the first 2 now.
You know, a couple of starts ago, he did that against Minnesota in the 2nd inning or the 3rd, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
He walked the bases full in that inning. He had no walks in his last start against Kansas City. And out comes Mickey Callaway because he must see something mechanically that he's got to tell Salazar about.
Rick, you mentioned the last time we saw Texas. The Indians went to Texas to start a series on June the 6th. Now, in that game, we mentioned Darvish was beatable, and they scored 6 runs in that game.
Right.
And had a chance to get the win, but they didn't. So Texas got the win. All right. After that game in the series opener, Texas was 31-30 on June the 6th after that game was over. Since then, they've gone 12-35. Well, now 13. They won last night, so 13-35.
Okay, you got it. I see. But their runs down a half a game. ERA up. The errors they've been inconsistent defensively as well.
But we talked about it. They were hanging in there. They were finding ways to fill some holes, but
you just can't do it. Yeah, in the long run, in the long season, you're going to fail eventually if you don't get any help.
And I should point out that after the Rangers won that first game of the series, the Indians won the next 3, and that just sort of started them into a tailspin that they have yet to come out of. They've had a pair of 8-game losing streaks in their last 47 games. Fouled out of play.
You know, and back when we were there, they had that one stopper that we will see on Sunday. You know, for the Texas Rangers in the rotation, that Yu Darvish. Usually when he goes out there and takes them on, those are the games you have to win or gives you an opportunity to. We will see him in the finale on Sunday.
And that's a fair ball. No, foul. Boy, that was really close, hugging the line.
You know what? It actually, from our angle, did look fairer. I thought it was a fair ball, but the umpire is sitting right there, CORY BLASER. It goes down the line. If it goes over any part of the bag, it's a fair ball, but he was right on it. I got to give him credit. It was better than our luck. We're behind it, but it did miss by much. He tried to come inside to Arancibia, who's, you know, he can swing and miss a lot, but he's got some pop.
One ball and 2 strikes to count here on Arancibia as Salazar tries to work himself out of a jam, walking the first 2 in the inning.
This is where you want to see Salazar get that ball down and away to the right-handers. Right-handers are hitting over 300 off him this year, and he has a tough time getting to the outside corner for him. That was a good breaking ball. You know, we had talked about it before that he pitches from the extreme third base side of the rubber. And when he strides, you can see where he lands out in front of home plate. It's got to be awfully tough to throw across that body to try and get it to the outside part of the plate. But somebody took a foul tip, I guess, because they're waiting around. You see how he is over on that third base side? There is his mark where he lands. Williams is about a foot or 18 inches away on the other side because Williams pitches from the other side of the rubber, though.
Swung on and missed. He gets the strikeout, 1 away, his first K of the night.
Came back with the breaking ball to get it, too. Gomes just sitting for it. That was really a nice pitch because it was started out at the knees. It's almost like a split grip. Changeup. That wasn't even a slider. Changeup going straight down.
It's essentially like a split change, really, huh?
That's what it looks like. I didn't realize he held his change like that. I know he threw a slider and a changeup, but I didn't realize he split it on the change. That grip certainly showed it.
LEONYS Martin. Last 7 games, just 3 hits in 24 at-bats. He was hitting .275 until a 24-game slump has dropped his average.
Now, it's tough for young players when you're in situations like that, too, to keep momentum and confidence up when you're struggling as a team.
Adrian Beltre, who walked to start the inning in scoring position. Jim Aduce is at first base after he drew a free pass. But Salazar struck out J.P. Arancibia. Now he's got Martin down on the count and a bouncer foul. Robinson Chirinos waiting on deck. Another foul back. Salazar showing up the stirrups tonight. There's the 0-2. Well, that was interesting. Gomes wanted that pitch up. He came up out of his crouch, and Salazar wasn't anywhere close to where Gomes wanted it.
Yeah, it was down. Look at, he wants it up, but it's a late target, but you're not going to show the hitter, and he throws it in. He maybe wanted it upstairs a little more than where he threw that pitch.
Another foul ball, and it stays 0-2. Can't put them away.
Well, this is, I mean, how they work that pitch count up when you can foul off 5-6 pitches. And I'll tell you, they're not bad pitches. They're just getting a piece to stay alive. You get to 2 strikes. They've already fouled off 6 2-strike pitches in this inning.
That's too high. 1-2. Well, Salazar was efficient in the first inning. 1, 2, 3 in a hurry. But the back-to-back walks have set the tempo here in the second, and it is becoming a long inning in a hurry. Outside, 2-2.
Well, he followed his high fastball up with that changeup. And I don't think he went, to be honest with you. No, not even close. They're going to check, but they say no. Already 25 pitches here in the second. There's still just 1 out.
Popped him up.
That'll stay in play.
Lonnie Chisenhall backpedaling, makes the catch in fair ground for out number 2. Fans, don't forget you can tweet your photos to us using the hashtag STOFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown during one of our telecasts this year. It's all courtesy of AT&T. Robinson Chirinos, just 2 hits in his last 19 at-bats, and 4 hits in his last 37 ABs. And a quick strike. Base hit into right field. Murphy charging hard. They're going to wave the runner around third. Here comes Beltre. Murphy's throw to the plate, and they got him. Good, strong throw by David Murphy, and a terrific tag by Yan Gomes, as Adrian Beltre is erased at the dish.
With MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet to get live look-ins, instant replay, audio scores, The free MLB TV game of the day and more. You can download on the App Store or visit Indians.com.
Yan Gomes will lead off the bottom of the second. And a strike called. Little bouncer towards second. And Rougned Odor will throw him out one away. Well, Danny Salazar needed some help, but he got out of the second inning after walking the first two batters of the inning. Key strikeout. Little pop up. And then David Murphy to the rescue.
Yeah, you had Beltre running, but that was a nice one-hop throw right on the money. And that's what you do when you send them with 2 outs. You know, they've been struggling. Hey, you got to make a perfect throw, and David Murphy did right there to get the out at home plate. It's another outfield assist for the Indians. I believe now they have 25.
Murphy sends one in the air, shallow right field near the line. Odor got a good beat on it, and he drops the ball. And that really isn't even an accurate description, because it's not so much that he dropped it, but where in the world is Shin-Soo Choo? He's got to be able to make that play. That's a tough one to get for the second baseman.
Well, he called him off, but there's no reason. The outfielder has to call off the infielder. When you watch the end of the play, watch Odor, he's waving. You know what, Choo, go in there and take it, man. That's your ball if you can get there. He still should have caught it. But I know what you're saying. It's a much tougher play for that infielder to go out on the run looking over his shoulder when the outfielder can run in and make the play on his own. So he pretty much called him off, but he didn't catch the ball. So they gave him a double?
They do give him a double, and Murphy says, I'll take it. Number 18 on the year. Here's Ryan Rayburn now with 1 out and a runner in scoring position. And he takes a strike over the outside corner. Some raindrops falling here in downtown Cleveland, but we're told it's just a passing shower. Now the 0-1. Bounce to third. Off the chest of Beltre. Murphy's going to try to get the third. But a heads-up play by the shortstop Andrus, and Murphy is erased.
Well, he made a big mistake there because Andrus was heads up. And if Beltre doesn't catch it, then I'll tell you what, it's a really tough play. That's an in-between hop, and it goes off his stomach. Murphy just kicked it into gear, but it didn't trickle that way, that far away from him. So that's a mistake right there. They get the out, and you're out of scoring position. Look at that's a heads-up play. Andrus just following the play, keeping your heads up, and even Williams was over there. I think that
he sure was.
He would have been able to make the flip and get him anyway.
So Rayburn at first on the fielder's choice, now 2 down. And Jason Kipnis, who singled his first time up, the batter. Missed outside, 2-0. Just lays a fastball in there. Good block by Chirinos. And Rayburn holds steady at first base. Indians with a 1-0 lead. We're in the bottom of the second. Indians caught a break on the misplay by Odor. But Murphy, too aggressive, trying to get himself to third base, erased on the fielder's choice. So the break kind of nullified.
Yeah, it sure did. Well, that's a play that's in front of you as a base runner that Murph did, and he probably thought the ball was going to get farther away off his body than what it did.
And maybe he thought Andrus would not be as heads up as he was, too, because if Andrus is standing there flat-footed, maybe he gets in safely.
Well, and then as we showed the replay, though, Williams was there. So either way, he would have been caught.
Kipnis strikes out. The inning is over. 2 complete. It's the Indians 1 and the Rangers 0. Well, right now on FoxSportsOhio.com, Indians coverage and tweets on the Game Day live page. A look back at the Tribe's month of July and the Browns offensive coordinator on the quarterback competition. It's all on FoxSportsOhio.com. Rougned Odor. Swings at the first pitch, pops it straight up on the infield. Lonnie Chisenhall says, "I've got it." And he does. 1 away. Injury report brought to you by the attorneys at Elk & Elk. This is only a portion of the Rangers injury report because we can't fit them all on here. But look, they made a big trade in the offseason. Prince Fielder was going to be the guy in the middle of the lineup. They needed neck surgery and done for the year. So that, I don't know if that was the first one, but that was maybe
that started
the
that was
final
the dominoes
blow.
Effect.
Because if I think back on it, Rick, most of their pitching woes were sort of, or like spring training early in the year.
Yeah. There were a lot of them, you're right.
2 quick outs for Danny Salazar here in the third. I mean, Alexei Agondo, he's missed 50 games this year. Tanner Scheppers has missed 43 games this year.
He started the first game of the year for him, and he was supposed to be coming out of the bullpen.
Derek Holland has missed every game this year. Jurickson Profar, every game. Matt Harrison, he went down in May. He's missed 71 games. Or 68 games, I guess. I mean, even Yu Darvish has missed a few games this year. Boy, Danny Salazar, he put last inning behind him in a hurry because he's right on track here in the third.
Well, that's what he did in that one game in Minnesota. You know what? He had a little hiccup there in the second inning and then came back out and started to pitch. You just don't want to have innings like that get that pitch count up that takes you away from pitching 6 or 7.
Thought that was an interesting sequence there. Gomes was looking, off speed, Salazar, fastball. Okay, boom, and Salazar right back at him. And you could see Anders got a piece of it, but he was tardy.
Well, it's hard not to be tardy on a 96, 97 mile an hour fastball.
Now he wants to change up, and it never really had a chance. It's almost like he's so amped up right now, all he can do is throw fastballs.
Now that one gets away. He got underneath that changeup there.
Just stay with it. Ooh, another good fastball, but
see, Andrus is a guy too that'll shoot you the other way. He had that string of how many games in a row? 44, 3 or 4 that he hit against the Indians. '39 consecutive. Starting his career. It was ended earlier this year. That's some kind of hitting streak, isn't it? Starting against a team, and I mean, it's not even a team in your own division.
Well, from 0-2 to 3-2 here. And Danny wants the slider now. But he missed with it. And a 2-out walk. Boy, he was right on track there. And after he went away from his fastball, he just couldn't get it locked in. You see him there motioning with his shoulder. I don't know if maybe mechanically he noticed that he was just a little out of kilter.
Everything was up with the off-speed pitches.
Alex Rios, old Tapper, back to the mound his first time up.
There's a strange year for Alex Rios. Average-wise, he's hitting very well. He's up over 300. He's at 303 on the year, but he only has 4 homers. 1 homer in his home ballpark out in Texas. And that one came opening day. Don't you find that hard to believe? He's got better pop than that. And especially in that ballpark, because he can hit it out to right center.
That defies logic.
It does. I know. I looked at it and I says, what's going on here?
That fastball's hitting the air to center field. Michael Brantley gallops under it. And the inning is over. We'll go to the bottom of the third. 1-0 Cleveland. As you enjoy a cold one, to stay tuned later the game from Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. And also a reminder, we're going to be visiting with Jim Thome coming up here in a little while.
Yeah, next inning.
Jim Thome will have a statue unveiled tomorrow before the game. Mike AVILES scored the game's only run in the first inning. Jim Joyce, the most distinctive strike call in baseball. Veteran umpire. Just missed with that one. 2-1. Jerome Williams wears the distinctive pink baseball glove. His mom had breast cancer when he was in high school. It went into remission, but a few years later it returned, and she died right as he was ready to go to spring training in 2001. And so he wears the pink glove in her memory and to honor her. But you talk about a strong woman. The day that he left for spring training, and before she passed away, she said, "Don't do it for me, do it for yourself." And so he has those words written on the inside bill of his cap every time he goes to the mound. And as I said, I've always admired him because he's a selfless pitcher. What do you want me to do? Bullpen? Okay. You want me to start? Okay. He goes out there every year, Rick. He logs innings. Not flashy, but it's a tired cliche, but he's the old lunchbox guy. Brings his lunch, and
you
works
want to
hard.
play baseball? That's what you have to do.
Line to left center by Michael Brantley. His second hit of the ball game, and AVILES stops at second base. And the Indians may be off and running now here in the third. Well, Brantley just waited back on it. Takes it the other way, as he has done so many times this year.
Well, Brantley has been up twice. He's 2 for 2, and he's seen 2 pitches. And normally, Michael very patient. But tonight, he stayed on that ball and put a great swing on it, because that ball was sinking down and away.
And now you've got Carlos Santana, who drew a walk his first time up. Down and in for ball one. And a line smash by Odor into right center. AVILES will score. Brantley all the way to third. It's an RBI single for Carlos Santana, and the Indians have a 2-0 lead. It's RBI number 53 for Carlos.
Well, he continues to drive them in. He's been very hot. Hit this ball right on the nose. So the first 3 have reached in this inning, and they are on the board again. They are on the corners. Nobody out. Watch Santana. He smokes it. You know, I didn't know if he could catch that in the air. That looked like it could have been a triple play as hard as it was hit.
I think the thing was, Rick, is on the dive, the ball was already by him.
Oh, I mean,
that's how hard it was hit.
It was hit hard. I thought he was going to catch it, but by the time he dives, that ball was into the outfield.
And now Lonnie Chisenhall had a pretty good approach his first time up. He went the other way, hit it hard, but the left fielder, Jim Aduce, was able to make the catch to retire Chisenhall back in the first inning. And off the plate for ball one. Brantley at third, Santana at first. Infield double play depth. And Lonnie bangs it to first. They get the out at second, and safe at first is the call. And again, Aaron Sebia says to Ron Washington, wait a minute. Anyway, the run scores on the play regardless of the outcome at first base, and it's 3-0 Cleveland. The only question now, will Chisenhall get an RBI or won't he?
Was Aaron Sebia's foot on the base? That's the bottom line. If his foot was on the base, he's out. Because, I mean, the ball beat him. There's no question. If it's not on the base, then he's safe. He's got to be out there.
I think he's out.
Yeah, they got to look at this one. I think he is.
Well, yeah, his foot's on the base. Yeah, I wasn't sure. It looked like he was coming off, but it was clearly on the base. Good hustle by Chisenhall, but I think the replay is going to overturn this, and what that will do is it will take an RBI away from Lonnie, but the Indians will still have a 3-0 lead. Jim Joyce, the crew chief, will await word from the replay center in New York. And it probably won't take long based on the replay angles that we saw. Jim Joyce looking at checking the guy. Are you legit? Are you the right guy? Are you supposed to be here? Let me check your credential.
Name tag. Yeah, let's look at the let's look at the replay again.
You see the foot's in the air, ball's in the glove. Yeah.
Yeah, he's out.
Yep.
From that replay, it looks like it. Then again, they have a number of different replays they can look at to figure it out. So they're not going to rush into it. The Rangers are challenging this call. He was called safe. They had a bang play earlier in the game that Ron Washington came out. He did not challenge it.
I'm a little surprised it's taken this long. Okay, here we go.
He's out.
So a double play.
All right, yeah, it's reversed.
That's kind of what we figured. And so Ron Washington wins the challenge, which means he retains his challenge. And as we take another look, ball's in the glove, foot's not on the bag yet. So I think they got it right. And what that means is Lonnie loses an RBI because on a double play you can't get the ribby. Had it been the fielder's choice, he would have picked up his 42nd run batted in on the year. 2 down, bases empty. Nick Swisher, the batter, looks at a ball up high. Swish called out on strikes his first time up. And a high strike called, 1-1. A little bit outside, 2 balls and a strike. And it's fouled back. Count even 2-2. 2 runs in here in the third for Cleveland. And as they've built a 3-0 lead now. Up high and a full count. Payoff pitch. And the ball hit the deep right field, but there is CHOO to make the grab, and the inning is over. Indians get 2. They lead it 3-0. Indians all-time home run leader Jim Thome joins us in the booth when we come back. All right, back here at Progressive Field, the Indians lead the Rangers 3-0 as we go to the fourth inning. Beltre, Aduce, and Aaron Sebia will be due up for Texas. Matt Underwood, Rick Manning, and look who's joined us in the booth. The Indians' all-time home run leader, Jim Thome. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
It's like coming home again, seeing all the fellas out there, and just, with Grover and Charlie and John Hart. It's just what a special night.
Have you thought about what tomorrow's going to be like? Have you thought about what it's going to be like to look at yourself cast in bronze?
No, not at all. I mean, what an unbelievable thing. It's humbling. It's so honorable. I mean, it's just incredible to have them do this, really.
It's a big deal. Think about when you came back here in your first year, and, it
1991.
It flies by, doesn't it?
It flies by, and I remember Eddie Murray telling me one time, enjoy every minute, because it goes so quick, and before you snap a finger, your career, you're going to look back, and you're going to go, where did it all go? And it's the truth.
Well, right, because when you're young and you're playing baseball, there's nothing else you'd rather do in the whole wide world than play the game of baseball, and you're a kid, and you think it's never going to end.
Yeah.
That's right.
And you blink your eye, and you go, wait a minute. Now I'm the old man here, and there's a bunch of kids pushing me out, and I got to leave.
No question.
Beltre with a base hit in the left field. Game 1, 1991. Was it in Minnesota? Was that where you made your debut?
Yes.
Do you remember it? Like it was
I
yesterday?
I do. It's a long time ago. But, yes, I remember the excitement. I remember getting to the ballpark, and it's such a special day. Your first day, you're nervous. I remember wearing my shin guard out to third base after I got the hit. Something happened where I still had it on, and Puckett and Herbeck were like pointing out at me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Herbeck and Puckett, they, maybe they know me. I don't know. It was great. But I had my shin guard on that I didn't take off because just caught up into the moment. Everything was great.
I remember your first home run. Yankee Stadium,
yeah,
right?
Steve Farr.
Upper tank, right?
Yes.
Whose bat did you use?
Joel Skinner.
Yes, indeed.
And I'll never forget this. He
Neither
goes,
will he.
I know. And Skins is our AAA. He's
right.
in AAA there with the White Sox.
You about it every time.
Oh yeah. He goes, hey kid, you're going to get a heater and don't miss it. And he goes, by the way, use this bat. So I grabbed it, used it, and what a great story.
That's awesome.
Gosh.
I still remember, talk about like it was yesterday, when you set the single-season home run record here, the bomb off Jeremy Affeldt. I was on the radio over with Tom Hamilton. That was a great night, too.
It was because the year before I didn't get to 50. And then, doing it in Minnesota, then coming home, I had Dad and obviously Mom was here and all those special times. And to me, that was a huge accomplishment, especially watching Albert all them years. And when he got to 50, I think 50 is the magic number for everybody. It just was a magical year, and what a special time.
So let's fast forward just for a minute here before we go down memory lane some more. What are you doing now? What keeps you busy today?
My kids. My kids are growing up. My son's in coach pitch, so that's been nerve-wracking watching him hit but fun. I get way more nervous watching him than I ever was playing.
Does he do this?
He doesn't point.
He doesn't point the bat?
No, he's a shy, very humble, just quiet kid. And then my daughter's in a lot of theater right now, so that's been as nerve-wracking because she's got some speaking parts, and to watch her kids just perform and just go out and play sports and be a part. It's just so great to watch them grow up.
And Andrea's doing fine?
Andrea's great,
and
yes.
How old are your kids now?
11 and 6.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, the time flies.
Yes,
I know.
It does.
But they're at the great age to be home.
Yeah, it is. And you still do some work now with the Chicago White Sox.
Yeah, I'm working with Buddy Bell.
Buddy.
Yep, and Jerry Mr. Reinsdorf hired me to come aboard and just be an advisor when they need advice and just be an extra voice in the mix.
Jimmy, when you started in 1991, when you got that first call to the big leagues, did you ever? Well, hold on a second. Fly ball to left. That's going to end the inning. We'll continue with Jim Thome as the Rangers are out here in the top of the fourth, and the Indies lead it 3-0. All right, back here at Progressive Field, Indians on top 3-0. Yan Gomes, David Murphy, Ryan Rayburn coming up here in the bottom of the fourth. We're with the Indians' all-time home run king, Jim Thome, who tomorrow before the ballgame, there'll be a big ceremony out in center field. They'll unveil the statue to commemorate his career here in Cleveland. 337 home runs, but I always remember the one thing you told me. You said, Matty, every time I go in the game, I'm thinking I look for a knock and a walk.
Yeah.
People don't realize you're also the all-time walk leader in Indians history. Why was that part of your philosophy as a hitter?
Because as much as I striked out, I needed to also be selective. And when I say, walks were important, trust me, when I dug in the batter's box, I did not think about walking. I thought about being dangerous. I thought about being aggressive. And whoever was on the mound that night, the one thing I always wanted to do when I was hitting is know how hard his fastball was, how many fastballs in an at-bat is he going to throw me, and then what was his secondary pitch to me. And I think by having that concept and the plate coverage I had is, maybe benefited with the walks, but also, being aggressive and hitting the ball out front.
Yeah, and how about that lineup you hit in, though?
Well, that was the
yeah.
biggest thing, because I think what happened, a lot of the walks came from, I don't think they knew who to pitch to a lot of times.
Well,
one guy might be hot, the next guy below you might. So I always call it a revolving door. We never, you are the hitter you are, but ultimately it's the team around you which makes you a good hitter. And we had plenty of guys that we fed off of, and I think we benefited from each other.
Well, and you had a guy like Kenny Lofton leading it off. Nobody wanted him on base because he could steal second. Omar, who could handle a bat, could bunt. You could take a pitch. He could, move him over. And then you had Albert in there to drive him in. Eddie in there, a Hall of Famer.
I know.
I mean, it was a never-ending, cycle. There was guys coming in that could hurt you. You guys came up, and Manny Ramirez hitting where?
We were 7th and 8th.
Right.
And, we hit 7th and 8th. I would hit 7th against righties and vice versa. I mean, and then once Manny became who he was, then obviously he moved into the fourth hole. But we just had so many talented, hitters that hitting literally in our clubhouse was contagious.
This was the home run which gave you the outright team lead in franchise history in home runs at Comerica Park. That was when the fences. That's before they moved the fences in.
That
folks.
was way. Yes.
That's way out of there.
Well, you got to be strong to go the other way.
And I think I heard, I've had tapes in the past, and I think I've always heard you say, when I always would go well, when I would struggle is when I'd start rolling over balls. But when I would hit line drives and a home run to left field, I knew things were going to get back on track.
Because you could hit, when you stayed middle of the field, because you were so strong, you could hit it out of any part of the ballpark.
Yeah.
Didn't matter. Center field, it doesn't matter.
Charlie Manuel told me once, he said, when I had Jimmy in Charlotte, he said, I think he went 2 months and never hit a ball to right field. You just stayed on everything and drove it to the opposite field. Was there a point, Jim, as a hitter, where you said, okay, I can hit the ball the other way, I can hit for average, now let me get out in front and turn on it?
So this is what happened. I'm in AAA, doing very well. And everybody in the world is like, why aren't the Indians calling you up? Why aren't you in the big leagues? And I kept asking Charlie, is there something I need to do to progress to the next level? And he's like, we got to get you to a point where you can start pulling the ball, because if you go to the big leagues, they're going to find your weakness and they're going to stay there. So what we tried was getting on the plate, opening up a little bit, which still, by getting on the plate, I got plate coverage.
Right.
But and now all of a sudden things completely changed. My hips freed up. Being on the plate, they started pitching me in, which was my strength. But yet the other part of it was I seen less balls to left center because of opening up, but I think it helped my power progress the way it did, which Charlie would be the guy to really break that down, because that was our plan, and I had enough trust in him to believe in him to do it.
Well, I don't think I've ever seen a guy that was committed to hitting any more than he was with that team.
Oh, no question.
He was the first one there. How much time did you guys spend in those batting cages day in and day out?
I remember many days him saying, let's go work.
Yeah, let's go to work.
Let's go to work, whether it was good and bad. If you found it, you wanted to keep it. If you didn't have it, you wanted to find it.
Yeah, you'd start in there, and then you'd still come out here and hit early.
Yeah.
And then you'd punish the pitchers during the game.
Yes.
You'd go back in and want to do some more.
Hey, if he saw that breaking guys were getting me out with breaking balls, I'd get to the ballpark. He'd say, let's go out. I'm going to throw you breaking balls.
Yeah.
And then that's one thing I think he did so well. We mastered our craft, but we did it through work. We found the swing, and once we got the swing, you didn't really need to watch video. Once you got it, the confidence kept it, if that makes sense.
Well,
yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
Because it was a very confident team and a loosey-goosey,
Sure.
They had their fun, man. Everybody.
We sure
lot
did.
Of different personalities.
We sure did. We definitely enjoyed playing. We were brothers. And, boy, did we feed off of each other.
Yeah, that goes hand in hand, doesn't it? When you win games, you get confidence, and, boy, anything goes.
You do.
I'm sure, like the fans who were here through all those great times in the mid-'90s, you have so many great memories. I still see you settling under the ball just in the foul territory and catching the out that clinched the division
September
that
8th.
sent the Indians onto the postseason for the first time.
And the crowd and these fans went into a frenzy from that point on.
They hadn't seen it since 1954 when they finally clinched. That was the last time. So something very, very special.
It sure is.
So what do you think about this ballpark now? It's held its a year as well, hasn't it?
You know what? I was telling Mark last night, sitting here and watching it from this view, because I was always down there. It's just a gorgeous. It's not really aged all these years. What has it been, 20 years now?
It's 20 years.
Yeah.
This is actually its 21st, but it's 94.
I mean, and you have to commend all the people that work hard around the ballpark to keep it up.
Yeah.
They've
done a wonderful
job.
job.
They really have.
And we're still sitting in the same spot.
That's right.
Just different names, different faces.
And when you see, people from the past, it's like nothing changes, to be honest.
Yeah.
You go right back to where you were. That's the great thing of this weekend, seeing everybody.
Yeah, it's got to be a very special weekend. You have all your family and everybody's in, and you got to take advantage of it. Huh?
You do.
It's going to be a very special weekend.
Yes, I think they're as excited as me, so we'll let them enjoy it as well.
Absolutely.
Well, your mom and dad were fixtures here at the ballpark for so many years. Rayburn, a base hit in the left field, and the Indians have 2 on with 1 out. I mean, they were here watching you play so many years, sitting down right with the crowd. And you always had a great connection, I thought, with the fans in this ballpark and in this city. But how about this home? I know you had to remember this one. That goes 511 feet, folks.
I do. What a great. That was actually the second game of a doubleheader. And it was humid. I remember the weather was humid that day. And I think in the first game the ball was carrying well. And Don Wingert kept throwing me sinkers out over the plate. And I kept fouling a couple off. And I'm like, man, if he stays there, I'm going to get the head out. I'm going to get it there. And sure enough, it got there. It went pretty far.
I didn't know they made the tailor-made drivers back then to hit it 511 feet.
Hey,
I mean, watch. Let's one more look at it. Go get it.
Yeah.
Look at the center fielder. He's going to sit and watch and see how far it goes.
It hit the side of the bleachers and then caromed out over the...
Oh, man. Well, special times.
Yeah, it may still be out on that Eagle Avenue.
I'm telling you.
Growing up in Peoria, though, was this... I mean, did these people take you? Did it feel like kind of home to you the first time you came to Cleveland?
It did. Growing up in the Midwest, very similar. The roots, the values, you go to work, you work hard, and then you come back the next day and do it again. Family values, I think.
You think that's why people took to you? Because they look, this guy
I
could
would
be
hope
one of
so.
our own.
And I think, being a father now and then seeing how my parents were and then just being around that, I think, that's what you want to instill into your kids is those good values and pay attention to them. And my parents did a great job, I guess, but ultimately you have to follow and continue that process. So, and I think all throughout Ohio here, it's the same way, no question.
Mike AVILES with 2 on, 2 out, trying to extend the Indians' lead, taking a called strike. So, I mean, were you at peace when it was over? I mean, 22 years you wore the uniform, went to work every day as a big leaguer. Did you have your fill?
I felt like, you know what, I was so blessed. I got to go to 2 World Series. Unfortunately, never accomplished the big one.
Yeah.
But, geez, I mean, you know, look, I have no complaints, no regrets. I was able to play a long time, had some back history over my career that I was able to manage, especially as I aged. I got into a good program with keeping my back healthy. And it's just, no regrets at all. Geez, I feel blessed to the fullest that I was able to do it as long as I did.
0-2
and was on some great teams.
Boy. Yeah.
Well, think about all the great players you played with throughout.
Oh, we couldn't have Tomey on for an inning and not score a run. Murphy comes home on the 2-out RBI single by Mike AVILES, and it's a 4-0 Indians lead. Boy, nice piece of hitting by Mike AVILES. Didn't hit it hard, but he found the hole.
He put the bat on it, yes.
Yeah, you got 2 outs, and that was a pretty good pitch. He just left it upstairs, and Mike stayed on it. And he just guided it right in the hole, man. 2 outs. That's a nice ribeye on the sheet. It's going to give Brantley a chance, and now we'll let Brantley hit one for you.
Jimmy, what was it like coming back after all those years? You start your career here, build those great relationships.
Yes.
Tough decision to leave. You leave, you go, you play otherwhere. But the chance to come back again.
You know what? I remember when I was coming here that day when everything took place and I knew I was coming back, there was a lot of anxiety, just of the unknown. I didn't really know how people were going to accept me. You know what? I got an opportunity to choose to come back here. That was a dream to do it. I jumped on it. The deal was done. And then the anxiety, that first at bat, when I walked up, and the crowd got up, it gave me, I still get it. You get goosebumps.
Yeah.
You get goosebumps because ultimately you play in a place a long time. There's a special feeling.
Michael Brantley socks one into center field, another RBI. AVILES trying to get to third. Beltre. He came up with the ball, but he's called safe. They might have a review on this one. We'll see.
We're going to go back. They will review this.
Beltre saying he got him. But the call in the field was safe. So Ron Washington, this will be the 3rd time he's been out tonight. He chose not to challenge the first time. The second time he challenged and won. So now he's getting an explanation from the umpire. Now he's looking into his guys. What do you think?
What do you think, boys? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Now, where does he have the ball? Is it in his hand or his glove when he tagged him? I don't know. If it's in his glove.
Ball's on his knee. Look where the ball is.
Yeah,
he doesn't have the ball there.
No, so he is going to be safe. That umpire was right on it.
Wow.
And then he ended up grabbing it with his bare hand out of there. So this is going to really be interesting because they're going to challenge. It's, again, a Texas challenge.
Well, while they go ahead and take a look, we've already given you a pretty good look at it. Kind of finish up. You come back, the anxiety, that first at bat.
Yeah. And I walk up and the crowd was just incredible. I mean, what a night, what a special night. And then throughout that, whatever it was, 30 games or 25 games, to know that, personally for me to be able to come back and be a part of this again was very, very, very cool.
The only question on this replay now is, when Beltre did grab the ball with his bare hand, was he still able to get the tag on him before AVILES got to the base?
Well, I guarantee between AVILES and Beltre, they're having a heck of a conversation at third base.
Where does he? He's got it in his hand, but does he tag him? I don't think he does.
Well, you can't see it from here. That's not an angle you can see it from.
Of all the replays that they've challenged this year, are the majority of them, is the percentage higher that they've gotten them
overturned?
Yes.
I would think that it was the last time I heard it was about 47% where they would overturn it. So, yes. I don't know. These guys in the truck may know. We'll find out if they give us an answer. 47% the last time
Jim,
we
the
checked.
one thing that Rick and I we're on the same page on this. We've definitely gotten a better appreciation, a greater appreciation for how good the umpires are. Because most of the time, they're right. They're right. And And I don't know how, because some of these callers are like, how in the world do you see that?
We get slow motion replays. We get to look at it twice. We get to critique it. Those guys get one look at it.
It's bam, bam, yes.
And they have to be. The only time they will get some wrong is when they're not in the proper position and in the right spot. But I'll tell you what, more times than not, they get themselves into really good positions.
They do.
And make good calls. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's helped them as well, this replay. I think it has. I think they were a little skittish the first few weeks of the season, the first month of it. After that, I think they've settled in, and now they've come to appreciate it. It's not like they're wrong or anything, because you're human. Right. You can make mistakes. There's nothing wrong with that.
I think the one thing you're seeing, too, is less arguments.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
There are no arguments.
There's
you go out
hardly
and
any.
Hugging the guy and give him a kiss so he gives you the call. Yeah, you don't see. That's old school now.
You don't see the Lou Piniella.
No, right.
You know.
No meltdowns.
Yes.
Remember
when he threw it?
Yes. All the way in over the dugout. Ken Griffey had his hat over his face, just laughing.
I think I was on the disabled list. Richie Sexton was playing first, and Richie had his glove over his mouth and was laughing too.
It was about as good as you can get.
All right, Jim Joyce is ready for the call, and here's the decision.
He is going to be out. He must have felt that they tagged him.
All right, so the run does score.
Yes.
But the inning is over. Jimmy, thanks so much for
Guys,
stopping
thank you
by.
so much. Good to see you.
Enjoy tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, buddy.
Thanks, Arch. Good to see you.
So the inning comes to an end. The Indians have a 5-0 lead, and tomorrow night, Jim Thome's statue will be officially unveiled. The all-new Sunnyside Chevrolet in Elyria. Sunny will save you money. By Levin Mattress, located in all Levin furniture and freestanding locations. And by Kia. Visit mykiacleveland.com to learn more. All right, so the Indians have a 5-0 lead. The inning ended on a disputed play at third base, and it was really interesting that they overturned it. I wasn't, based on the replays we had. Now, maybe there was another angle from the other television crew doing the game for Texas tonight that had a more definitive look. I couldn't tell, to be honest with you, if it was conclusive that BELTRE, with the bare hand, grabbed the ball and tagged AVILES. It was really kind of hard to see from the replay angle that we had. But the Indians still got the run home, and they have a 5-0 lead. Now, here's the key, Rick. Ron Washington is out of challenges. Even though he was right both times, he's done.
Okay.
But most teams have taken the approach that you can't save him. If it's a disputed play and you think you're right, you have to challenge it. That's the way most teams, I think, have approached it this year.
That got him out of an inning. You know, even though they did score, at least you end it and you don't give up any more.
Robinson Chirinos singled his only time up back in the second inning. And it's inside, a ball and 2 strikes. I'll tell you one thing, Rick. I know that as a rule, people don't really change necessarily. But Jim told me is as down to earth and as genuine today as he was the first time I met him.
Oh, yeah, he has. Jimmy's Jimmy. That is
a fair ball.
Yeah.
Into the corner. Chirinos on his way to second. Murphy can't come up with it cleanly. Chirinos is going for third, and he's going to be in there safely. That's going to be a double and an error. I don't know what happened to Murphy. It looked like he had it and then either dropped it or the ball took a crazy carom on him. But I'm pretty sure that'll be a double and an error.
Well, I lost sight of him. I mean, the ball was fair, and it looked like he got to it in time for it to be the double. But as he gets down into the corner, let's see what happens. Oh, he went to barehanded, and then it slips away. So it is going to be a double and an error. So the leadoff double, give him third on the error.
Chirinos 2 for 2 on the night. And Rougned Odor takes a strike. Bounce slowly towards second base. Kipnis will throw out Odor. He'll pick up the RBI, his 21st on the year, and the Rangers get on the scoreboard with a run here in the 5th. Line to first, caught by Santana, 2 down. All right, this is the angle we're told that they used to overturn the call at third base. It looks like he's got the ball, and it looks like he tags him on the leg.
They're saying that he tagged him on that knee before.
With the bare hand.
Yes.
That was it for people who may not watch the bare hand.
That's where the ball is at, is in his hand.
Okay,
so.
I guess I could buy that.
I like it now. Now Salazar throwing a ball like he can. He's getting it. He's pounding the strike zone, and he's letting these guys, let's go. You want to be aggressive. I don't know if the 5 runs helps. There's no need to mess around, man. Get it and let's go. He's thrown 8 straight first pitch strikes. He had a string there before a ball to the hitter before, the 11 straight strikes. So there he is.
And missed.
And now everything's getting down, down, down. He's got a nice rhythm going.
There's a real good chance that I'm going out
there. Now the 1-2 pitch to right field, but it's going to slice out of play. $15 out of 20 first pitch strikes tonight for Salazar. Oh, awfully close, but a bit inside. And it's 2-2.
Let's take a look at this pitch on our Nissan pitch tracker. It is inside, in off the plate. But with 97, that guy doesn't have time to try and take a swing. It's coming so hard.
Line to second, and it's caught by Kipnis. An unearned run for the Rangers here in the 5th. 5-1 Cleveland.
Continue tomorrow night, and that's exactly when Jim Thome's statue is going to be revealed in center field. Fans will get a replica statue courtesy of Key Bank. And let's see, it starts at 5 o'clock. Gates open at 4:30. So that unveiling will go from 5 to, I think, 5:30, 5:45 after the game. They're going to show it on the scoreboard before the fireworks, and it's going to be on Sports Time Ohio. From 6 to 7, an hour-long pregame show tomorrow. So we'll have everything. You won't miss a beat.
Carlos Santana. How about him and JP Arancibia?
Yeah, Arancibia's been hot as well. And I'll tell you, that's what you need, number 4. I love to see it when he's driving in runs like tonight. Or last night, he goes the other way to take that RBI. He had a lot of RBIs because of the long ball. He was so hot in Kansas City. But, you know, RBIs, when you can get base hits and keep innings going, when you're not hitting the ball out of the ballpark and drive them in. And that's another reason that Santana maybe will not drive in a lot, because he takes a lot of walks.
I thought it was really interesting, Rick, listening to Jim Thome and his approach. And when he was in the box, you know how he's like, I didn't go up there looking for walks. I went into the box looking to do damage. What's the old saying that you have? You
go up there to hit to walk, not walk to hit. You know, you go up there to you're aggressive. You want to swing the bat. Now, if they walk you, fine, you take it.
But there's a distinct difference.
Yeah. There's guys that go up there, they'll foul pitches off and they'll try and walk and work pitches. You want to hit. You want to drive in runs. If you're an RBI guys will make outs just so they get that run in from third base.
You know, I was talking to Brad Mills earlier today, Indians bench coach, and when he was a really young player just starting out, he said Rod Carew, who you know very well, a contemporary of yours, terrific player. He said Rod Carew told him, he said, in this game, there are some players, the really good players, they make the adjustments pitch to pitch. As that ball skips up the middle and it gets through. Chisenhall broke his bat, but it finds its way into center field, and the Indians have their first 2 on. here in the 5th inning.
Lonnie needed that. He's been hitting the ball on the nose and has nothing to show for it now. He breaks his bat and he says it gets. Look at it. He's smiling. He's telling Sandy, I can't figure it out. I mean, this ball jams him, and it looks like he hits it twice. That's how deep that ball got in. But it gets under the glove of Williams, and it's going to get under both gloves, up the middle. And it goes. That's a seeing eye base hit right there. Look at that. Andrus can't get it into center field.
Anyway, Brad said Rod Carew told him the really great players make adjustments in the batter's box, pitch to pitch. He said your good players make adjustments at bat to at bat. Your so-so players make adjustments game to game. And everybody else is trying to hang on, tries to figure it out. But
league.
I thought that was an interesting approach because, I mean, Jim Thome, obviously a guy. I think, we've seen hitters in recent years that can do that, can make the adjustment pitch to pitch. Okay, he throws Miguel Cabrera. You throw me that, 2 pitches later, you throw that pitch again, it's going to go 400 feet.
Rod Carew was a guy, he'd change his stance in an at-bat, just on how you're pitching him. Or he would, he'd come up open one time and he'd close it up a little bit more the next time. Yeah, the guys like that, they do make adjustments pitch to pitch. Now, that's if you have a history on a guy. Nowadays, hitters don't face the same pitcher. If you're facing a starter that has a good game, you see him 3 times. If not, you may see him twice, and then you may see 2 different relievers.
Yeah.
So that's how you don't make adjustments pitch to pitch anymore, because you don't have the track record against these guys like the old-timers.
Unless you're in the division where you're playing them.
Right. 18 times.
Right.
Or 19 times.
But
That's
like
true.
a Yu Darvish, you face him maybe once, twice a year at tops.
Yeah, it's tough to make adjustments then. You may have to do it at-bat to at-bat as opposed to pitch when you don't know a guy. That's the only thing I could say in that situation.
The 1-2. But I liked what Jimmy said. I wanted to know, when I went to the box, I wanted to know 3 things. How hard was his fastball? What was his secondary pitch that he was going to go to? And how many fastballs would I see in an at-bat?
He'd see a lot of fastballs because a lot of teams tried to pitch him in and elevate it upstairs inside.
Plus, early in his career on those great teams, as he said, he was in 7th and 8th.
Well, and nowadays, too, there's a base knock.
Nick Swisher drives it into right field. Santana stops at third, and the Indians have the bases loaded with nobody out here in the 5th inning.
Well, and they're ready to poke a hole in this one. And they got a chance to just blow them right out of the water here. Swisher gets the ball right down Broadway, and he pulls it into right field. And he got it, hit it too hard because Santana couldn't come around to score. They had to hold him up with the arm of SHIN-SOO CHOO. And out comes Maddox to talk to Williams. And they've got to have that bullpen ready.
Yeah, I think he was on the phone before he went out. But the Indians closing in on Jerome Williams, making just his 2nd start of the year. He had been exclusively a reliever this season. But Yan Gomes is going to be the hitter with the bases juiced and nobody out. Phil Klein, a right-hander, getting up. Let's see. The Indians as a team have just been dynamite this year, batting .341 with the bases loaded. Yan Gomes, been the one guy that's had tough sledding in these situations, just 2 for 13. Broke his bat, and it's fouled up the third base side. I mean, it destroyed it.
Yeah, that may be one reason why he's 2 for 13. He gets aggressive. When you get runners in scoring position. But I'll tell you what, that's deep into the kitchen here.
Isn't that something, though, Rick?
Wow, look at the bat coming awfully close to that camera.
With all the success as a team, and the Indians have the best team batting average in baseball with the bases loaded. That's better than anybody as a team. But Yan Gomes has the most at-bats with the bases loaded.
No kidding.
Of anybody on the end. He's 13 ABs. So he's had the most chances, but just 2 hits. Does have 5 RBIs. Down on the count 0-1.
Yeah, doesn't want to give him a lot of swinging room. And after he shattered that first bat, he could look in there again and take it. I think Williams would gladly in this situation take a double play ball and allow a run to score.
Throwing a lot of sinkers. It's like that's what he's looking for. But now Gomes down on the count 1-2.
Yeah, he's pounding him inside.
You see the runners, Santana, Chisenhall, and Swisher. Gomes right up the middle. It's through. A 1-2 pitch. He singles to center, scoring Santana to make it a 6-1 Indians lead. RBI number 46 for Yan Gomes. The first 4 have all reached safely here in the 5th for Cleveland.
Well, they've got it working tonight, boy. They are hitting the baseball. 12 hits now. And here's a 1-2 pitch, and Williams makes a mistake. They want it in where he was pitching them, and he left it out over the plate, and they make mistakes. Yan Gomes makes him pay. Goes right back up the middle, drives in a run. It's a 6-1 ball game, and he's going to stay with Williams.
David Murphy is 2 for 2 on the night, and Murphy's been one of the best Indians hitters with the bases loaded this year. 5 for 12. And a strike called. That was the 30th hit this year for the Tribe with the bases loaded. 30 out of 86. Rope down the right field line, just foul. Oh, man. That had a vapor trail coming off of it.
That was smoked.
And just foul down the line. So Murphy now down on the count 0-2.
Murphy this year 8 for 17 against his former team. He has been on fire.
Pulls that one over toward the Texas dugout, rattling it off the cage in front of his former teammates.
Indians 5 for 10 with runners in scoring position tonight. 4 for their last 4.
Nobody out here in the 5th. Tribe up 6-1, looking to really blow it open. Fair ball down the line. Chisenhall scores. Here comes Swisher. Gomes stops at third. It's a 2-run double for David Murphy, and the Tribe in command at 8-1. Murphy 3 for 3 on the night. His second double, and RBIs number 49 and 50.
Well, there is still nobody out, and here's an 0-2 pitch. He left him a breaking ball. Murphy, you know how good he can go down and hit a ball with 2 strikes. This one stayed middle of the plate, and he did damage, kept it inside the bag. Well, a couple more come in to score, makes it an 8-1 ball game. And I think they're just stalling for time right now till that guy gets ready in the bullpen.
Well, Ron Washington's looking back in the dugout, and he's waiting to see what Mike Maddox tells him. Whatever he tells him, it's not going to be good, because the Rangers are down 8-1. The Indians with 13 hits in the ball game. Now they've got a different reliever up. Is that Nate Adcock?
That's why. Yeah, Adcock's up. A totally different guy than we said earlier. I don't know what happened.
Maybe the other guy couldn't get loose. Maybe had some trouble. Here comes Ron Washington. You had to figure. I mean, that only makes sense that he'd make a pitching change. The first 5 Indians hitters have all reached in the inning. 3 have scored. And the Indians are on top 8-1. So the Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen will be made here in the 5th by the Texas skipper. And as Jerome Williams could not get it out here in the 5th inning. And it will be Nate Adcock, who just started warming up, who's coming on when we come back.
New Sports Network is the place to turn before every goal, every slam, and every game with America's pregame. Weeknights at 6, only on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
So Texas calls on Nate Adcock, looking for a little relief here in the 5th inning. And Ryan Rayburn's going to be the batter. 3rd appearance of the year for Adcock.
Well, this is the kind of game the Indians could use offensively. One of these parties where you get a lot of hits, you score a lot of runs. The only inning they didn't score in was the 2nd inning tonight. But 1 in the 1st, 2 in the 3rd, 2 in the 4th, 3 in the 5th. And 54 games to go this year, Matt, for the Indians left this year. And 30 of those 54 will be right here in this ballpark. So that's what you want to get. You want to get that good feeling back here again at home.
Off the plate. Talk about the Baltimore chop. And a throw to first to get him. That ball was in the air forever, and I'm surprised Yan Gomes didn't take off at 3rd base. 1 away. Our great clip of the game from last night, Jason Kipnis. He did a little damage. He doubled to deep center field, then he homered to center field. And Jason Kipnis, 1 for 3 on the night. He got it started tonight. His leadoff single led to a 1st inning run. Indians threatening, 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. Rangers have the infield in. That's one of those plays when you're the runner at 3rd. You know, you want to make the ball go through, but when it goes off the plate like that, it kind of throws for a loop, doesn't it?
Well, it does, but you're not programmed. So, you know, you're just sort of sitting there. You're not aggressive. And 8-1, look, you know, make it go through. You don't want any close play at the plate and a collision or something like that.
That's what my point was. That's the last thing you're expecting is a ball off the plate.
Right,
And you don't know.
Flat-footed, and he knows.
Yeah.
Right there. If you don't get a jump, then you don't go. But that's all set in your mind before the pitch is even thrown, anticipating what might happen. You got to look for that ball. But like I said, game situation and everything, it's okay. Get a base hit here.
Plus, how many times you see a ball hit off the plate, you don't know exactly how high. That one hung in the air for a long time, but not everyone comes off the plate the same way.
Yeah, you don't see many off the plate like that anymore. That had some hang time. That was almost like a ring.
I knew
punt.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it. Here's the 2-1.
It's a Hall of Fame weekend down in Akron. We got to use it.
That's right on.
Down in Canton, we got to use the Ray Guy punt.
Adcock looks like he wants to go after Mike AVILES, the right-handed hitter, because nothing really hittable here for Kipnis to this point. Though coming into a game, the last thing you want to do is load the bases again, I would think.
The Indians wouldn't mind. They love to hit in that situation. They've done a great job tonight.
Well, he's loaded them up with the walk to Kipnis, and the 8th man to bat in the inning will be Mike AVILES.
Well, this weekend will continue. It's going to be a lot of fun out at the ballpark, and on Sunday you can come on out and celebrate Slider's birthday. And Slider, his mascot friends will be in town from all over the country. And kids, you can run the bases after the ball game. That'll be courtesy of Cleveland Clinic. Come on out. Great weekend. Then you got a Trevor Bauer and Yu Darvish matchup on Sunday as well.
Way outside it goes to the backstop, and here comes another run home. Gomes scores 4 runs in the 5th. 9-1 Cleveland. Murphy to third, Kipnis down to second. Trying to throw that slider, just yanked it across his body. And CHIRINOS couldn't get over to stop it. AVILES has scored twice tonight. He's driven in a run. And now they count 2-0. Now Adcock wants to talk with CHIRINOS. We had seen Adcock briefly, Rick, with Kansas City in recent years. Fouled back, 2-1 count. Again, the infield for the Rangers is in, except for BELTRE at third base. He's playing back. Not deep, but another ball to the backstop. But this one caroms right back to CHIRINOS, and Murphy could not score.
Now, wait a minute. How lucky was that? I mean, he tried to give him another run, and that ball came. I don't know what it hit back there, but it came directly back to him. Again, it caught a piece of the glove, and look at the bounce. He got a nice bounce there. But a good job by Murphy just to stay put. He was coming. He was trying to score and then picked up the baseball and it took that big bounce.
AVILES pops it out of play. Full count. On the ground, up the middle, it's through. 2 more will score. It's a rout tonight. Oh, baby, it was a close play. A lot closer than I thought it was going to be. Kipnis just did beat the tag of CHIRINOS. A 6-run fifth for Cleveland. Tell you what, that's a heck of a play by Martin in center, because I didn't think there was even going to be a play, because Kipnis got a great break, and he was really right on Murphy's heels, but this was really close at the end.
No question. You see, Kipnis was off and running, but by the time Martin could come in, he got it very shallow, and he threw a strike.
You know what?
The umpire was right there, and whether they tagged or not, they can't challenge it anyway, so it doesn't matter. He's going to be safe. He got the plate, though.
He did. CHIRINOS did a nice job to get the glove back, but by the time he got the tag on him, Kipnis had already gotten his hand to the plate.
Boy, what an inning.
Mike AVILES has driven in 3 runs on the night. (11-1) Cleveland. Brantley bloops one. Left center. Oh, what a catch by Aducci. And that is out number 2. An all-out diving effort. And that's what it took to finally retire Brantley for the first time tonight. Making Dad proud with that play, huh?
Well, I mean, he had no choice. He had to leave his feet. He came in with the slide to make the play. I thought Brantley was going to get his 4th hit. But no, it's picked up off the ground by Aducci. That's out number 2.
The Indians have batted around as Carlos Santana steps in. He walked and scored earlier in the inning. Indians have gone 7 for 13 tonight with runners in scoring position. Either that or it may be in this inning. I'm not sure. Santana drills one to right field. CHOO! What a catch he just made. So back-to-back defensive gems for the Rangers to finally end the onslaught. The Indians with a 6-run fifth. The 11-1, the Indians lead the Rangers. We're in the 6th inning.
We're coming back into the 90s, man. Susie Giuliano, Susie
First
Garrity.
Jim Thome, Then
Yeah.
Susie, Garrity, now Giuliano.
Right,
Yeah.
doesn't get
you
any
gotta
better.
get it right. You got to get the order right. It's time now for our AT&T fan photo of the game. Remember, you can tweet your photos to us using the hashtag STOFanPhoto for a chance to have one of yours shown during our telecast this year. Well, defensively now, the Indians making some changes with a 10-run lead. Terry Francona going to get Tyler Holt into the ball game. We'll give Michael Brantley the rest of the night off, and Roberto Perez gives Yan Gomes a little breather behind the plate. Danny Salazar goes back to work now, and Alex Rios leads off, takes a strike. Up high.
Here's what I like about Salazar tonight. Out of the 15 outs, 9 of them have come on 3 pitches or less.
Well, that gets back to one of our keys to the game, efficiency.
Yeah, that's what you want to see with this guy, because it's like Corey Kluber. You try to get outs on 3 pitches or less, and if they foul them off or you're a strikeout guy, strikeouts will come because you're ahead. There you go.
Painted. That was a perfect pitch. I know Rios maybe doesn't like it, but I think that was a perfect pitch. And that's the 3rd strikeout for Danny Salazar. Time now for our Hear Right Audiology Sounds of the game. Here's Terry Francona on the recent departure of Zach McAllister.
I think a lot of it is, at times, confidence. I mean, the Detroit game, he came out and threw the ball real well, had that real rough inning. Remember where he didn't command for 3 hitters, walked 3 in a row, but reeled it back in, pitched a nice game. Last couple games hasn't been able to reel it back in, and I think sometimes that can be confidence. I think when you see Zach really good, like you say, you referred to the first 3 outings of the year, he was driving his fastball down the zone. Everything revolves off of that.
Now we'll see what Zach McAllister can do. We talked about it earlier, Rick, about in the game, Rod Carew. The great ones make adjustments pitch to pitch. Well, right now, McAllister needs to find that adjustment, whether it's working on the secondary pitches to get them up to par or working on that fastball command. Something has to change for him.
Well, I don't know. Where do you go to work on it? You can't work on it up here. It hasn't worked out.
Well, no. I mean, if he clears waivers, he's going to have to work on it at AAA. Adrian Beltre has singled and walked tonight. That fastball hit right back at him.
You better duck.
Yeah, and Beltre has his 2nd hit of the night. So despite the problems that the Rangers have, Beltre just goes on about his business. 2 for 2 tonight.
Well, you throw it and then get down because it's coming right back at you. Well, they have 4 hits and Beltre has half of them. I want to send out some birthday wishes to Bob Andrews of Walnut Creek, who is turning 100 today. Bob, very special happy birthday to you. Vince and Dorothy Mastro Mateo of Youngstown celebrating their 50th anniversary.
Pitch outside. Got the corner. Walnut Creek, isn't that where we used to go on the press tour? Yeah.
Yeah, the pies.
Amish food.
Get the bricks of cheese. Oh, yeah. You make nice little care packages. That was in the wintertime when you could plump up. It was
Back
cold.
on the pounds.
Yeah, right.
Jim Adducci, a walk in the 2nd, struck out in the 4th. And a swing and a miss. 4th strikeout for Danny Salazar, 2 here in the 6th. He just overpowered him, didn't he?
He sure did. He comes right back, and there's a little I think that was a slider. Yeah, slider. Yeah. Ducci, a little uppercut, swings through it.
JP Arancibia 0 for 2 tonight. This probably works out on a couple of different levels, too. You get Roberto Perez a little playing time, you rest Yan Gomes, but, you know, I'm sure Perez and Salazar have some history together down at AAA this year, working together, so. Because I'm sure there are times where, ooh, Arancibia got drilled. And the Rangers now have 2 on with 2 out. You know, you got Danny Salazar, and I'm sure Terry Francona and Mickey Callaway, they're trying to get him going. They need him if there's any hope for this club in the second half here. And they probably don't want to have to change catchers midstream. But, hey, in this case, you got a guy who's worked with him before and should have a good feel.
Yeah, that shouldn't affect him, really. If he's locked in and he's in his rhythm, this one just gets away. That's the last thing you want to see at 11-1 ball game is one up and in.
Leonys Martin 0 for 2 on the night. Salazar at 90 pitches. And it's 2-0. Back in the strike zone. And Martin helped him out 2-2.
Yeah, sometimes you'll see that pitch from Salazar as a hitter and think, okay, I see it up here. I'm going to get after it. Next thing you know, it's by it because he throws too hard. He can get away with some pitches when you make mistakes on the plate, more so than the guy that throws 92.
Fouled back. You know, I think tonight's a prime example of that, Rick. Jerome Williams, you know, his fastball, he's 90-91, so when he misses on the plate with it, you see the results.
Yeah, he gets hit hard. You can't miss. And these guys may have good swings and they foul it off, but it's 96. That's a difference.
Breaking ball hit to center. And Tyler Holt just into the ball game makes the catch. The inning is over. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th. All Indians tonight.
Dogs are coming back on Tuesday when the showdown for the Ohio Cup will continue. The Cincinnati Reds will be in town Monday and Tuesday, and Tuesday's that dollar dog night all night long, and fans will get Indians duct tape courtesy of SureTech. Visit Indians.com for your tickets.
It looks like Danny Salazar's night's over after 6 innings of work. All right, the new pitcher is Phil Klein. How's that? 33 games, 0.52 earned run average. He's 6'7", 260 pounds. And he just got called up. It's a homecoming of sorts. He's a native of Columbus, Ohio, where he was born. He went to Youngstown State University. And how funny is this? Well, not funny for him. Ironic, I guess. Ryan Farabin was designated for assignment so that Klein could call up. Farabin is from Cleveland, Ohio. Another Ohio guy. Yeah.
This guy looks like he played for the Buckeyes in Ohio State. He's so big.
Adam Rosales takes over at third base for Beltre, whose night is over. Obviously, this is a guy that could be part of the Rangers' future. Klein is 25 years old. He had an 0.81 ERA in 24 games at AA. Then he goes to AAA, and the ERA is 0.52.
I know, but don't let that fool you. I mean,
he's
that's
not
great
overpowering
numbers
for as big as he is, Rick. They tell us that he's got some deception. Hitters don't get real good looks on him.
I see 90 miles an hour. Well, Chris Young was just here with Seattle, who's 6'10", and he has deception because he wasn't throwing the ball hard, but they hit him around pretty good. You better have deception.
There's the fastball, 91. But I mean, Rick, he's a 30th round pick. So that tells you that, he didn't light up the radar gun or do anything real special.
Right.
But he's starting to develop a secondary pitch, although that secondary pitch is hit deep into the night. Lonnie Chisenhall leaves the yard for the 10th time this year.
Welcome to the big leagues. Yeah, that was a no-doubter. Chisenhall, you remember earlier, had that 5-hit, 3-home run game against the Rangers. And did you see Klein put his head down as soon as the ball left the bat? He knew it, as well as a lot of other people. That's a 12-1 ball game now.
Here you go. Lonnie Chisenhall's giving him the 411, the scouting report.
Yeah, the scouting report. Well, they want to listen now after they see where he hit it.
That one took off. Just been handed this note. Klein is the 33rd different pitcher the Rangers have used this year and the 54th different player total on their roster. That, again, speaks to... And you know what? It just brings to mind seeing Charlie Manuel here earlier tonight, part of the celebration before the game. Charlie never got enough credit for the job he did in his first year as a manager.
Yeah.
The Indians set a franchise record for the number of players and pitchers they used, and they were in it to the final day of the season. So you talk about injuries. That team had a lot of different issues and injuries that it had to deal with, and yet he kept them right there.
Was that the year he ended up in the hospital? I got to think about that.
It was right out of the gate, wasn't it? Wasn't it early?
No, I remember one year where it was in the postseason, or
you mean late in the year?
Right at the end of the year. We were interviewing from there, I think.
I can't remember. Swisher pops one sky high. In-game recap brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. All Indians tonight. Michael Brantley doubled in the first. Indians led it. Mike AVILES has 3 runs batted in on the night. David Murphy has 2 doubles, 3 hits. He has 2 runs batted in. Indians scored 6 times in the 5th inning. And they lead it now 12-1 after the Chisenhall home run. Tyler Holt. He went into the spot in the batting order for Yan Gomes. Going to foul back. First big league at bat for Tyler Holt. Low and away. Tyler Holt was a 10th round pick of the Indians back in 2010. Oh, and Holt gets drilled. So in his first major league at bat, welcome to the big leagues, huh?
Yeah, no kidding. Well, Aaron Sebia took it from Salazar in the shoulder, so they're talking about that right there. Hey, that's no fun in the game like this, is it? So both of those guys were drilled. Saying exactly right.
Saying, hey, kid, you'll have a few more bruises like that before your career is over.
Yeah. What are you going to do? That's the last thing you think of. You're up there to try and get your first major league hit, and you get drilled.
Well, Tyler Holt has had to work hard. Started out of Lake County, Kinston, Carolina, Akron, Columbus. Played at Florida State. We're now getting a taste of big league baseball. And he's aboard with 1 out in the 6th as David Murphy stands in. At the knees, a strike. David Murphy 3 for 3 tonight, and as Rick pointed out earlier, he has tortured his former club.
Boy, has he ever. You know, there's something to be said. You know, you play with an organization, then you go back and play them. You want to do well.
It's nice to see it's not just former Indians who come back and beat up on Cleveland.
Yeah, that happens everywhere. I think if you go around and for whatever reason they just want to say, okay, here you go.
There's a balk. There was nobody covering.
Well, there shouldn't be. It's 12-1. The first baseman's back. That's just the rookie coming out here, you know, just reaction. There's no reason to throw to first base. They're just going base at a time. That's just a brain cramp. That's all. Yeah. Hey, nobody's there.
I like the reaction like Tyler Holt. It's like, hey, man, what's going on?
Well, you're going to hit me again? He should have threw it. It would have hit him twice.
So Tyler in a scoring position now after the balk, and David Murphy the batter. No laughing matter for Ron Washington and Mike Maddox. Foul right back. Might be humorous when you're on the other side, but we've been there. And
yeah, that's true. It's been a long year for these Texas Rangers, and that's the last thing you want to see.
there's still a level, even in a game like this, there's still a level of professionalism and conduct you want to maintain. You don't want to embarrass yourself or your organization. And hey, those are mistakes that happen. I'm not saying that there was anything other than that, but
well, a young man, he's been in the minor leagues. He's coming in and pitching. He's thinking, okay, I'll throw to first. Not thinking that the score is 12-1 and that they're playing behind him, and I'm sure they told him.
hit on the ground in the hole. Backhanded stop by Anders. No play at first, and he'll just make sure Holt doesn't stray too far at third.
Murphy, 4 for 4. Continues.
Hitting them where they ain't.
Well, hit them where they ain't, but I mean, it's just amazing what he's doing to his former club. He's now 10 for 19, over 500. Look at that ball. He just slaps it the other way. And Andrus said, I'm not going to make that throw. Guy on second base, 1 out. You throw it away, he scores. I'm just going to hold it. And it was probably a wise decision.
Ryan Rayburn, 1 for 3 on the night. He singled and scored back in the 4th inning. Klein with a fastball above the belt, and Rayburn swings through it. At the knees, strike 3 called, 2 down. That's the first Indians batter to strike out since the 2nd inning. Jason Kipnis was that last Indians hitter to strike out. He has singled tonight, walked, and scored a run. A little bit outside 1-1. I'll tell you what you have to wonder about. You know, Ron Washington's done a lot of great things. He and John Daniels, the general manager. I mean, they've been in the postseason. They put the Rangers. Yeah, they put them right on the doorstep. Chopper up the middle, and a nice play by the second baseman Odor. We'll continue that conversation when we come back. Monty Chisenhall goes deep, and the Indians big tonight, up 12-1. On site, Donovan goes one-on-one with the Browns' #1 pick, Justin Gilbert. And they will discuss the quarterback competition. All today's action from Berea tonight after Indians Live. Kyle Crockett coming on now for the Indians here in the 7th inning. Making his 23rd appearance of the year. And now Jose Ramirez takes over for Jason Kipnis at second base.
You don't have many games like this throughout the course of the year, like a spring training game, and that's what this one is, you know, because everything always seems like it's so close.
Yeah.
You know, where you get some guys some work, you got a night game, you're getting some rest. You have laughers, and it's no fun being on the other side of them, but it's nice when you're winning them.
At the knees, a strike. Murphy on the move, foul ground, slides. Did he catch it? No, he did not. It was close and might have lost some skin when he hit that rubberized portion of the warning track. Looks like he blew a hole in his trousers.
Oh, yeah, that'll happen. Tony will get him done. Don't worry. He'll have him out sewn up by tomorrow. Still can't feel good.
No. You got to love the effort, though, in a 12-1 game. I mean, he's going, risking life and limb over near the stands on a foul ball. Outside. Now, I was just doing a quick check here. The Indians lead by 11. The last double-digit victory they had, winning by 10 runs or more, came against the Texas Rangers.
No kidding. We were down in Arlington.
The series finale, they won 17-7.
That was Chisenhall's day.
Yes, it was.
5 for 5, 9 ribbies, 3 homers.
Routine bouncer to short, and Mike AVILES with a strong throw. One away. Send it down to Katie with him.
Well, if you're looking for something to do with the family, bring them on out to Progressive Field. You can take advantage of the KeyBank Kids Value Ticket. $15 for every child to use free for concessions, merchandise, and also, don't forget, above right field on the 3rd level of the concourse, we've got the Kids Clubhouse, activities for kids of all ages, even you, Matt.
They're climbing the walls.
I got tired just watching. Odor slicing it out of play. That was a pretty good looking pitch. 1 ball, 2 strikes. One out here in the 7th, and the Indians up 12-1.
16 hits today for the Tribe.
Missed inside with it, evens the count.
Danny Salazar, 6 good innings, 4 hits. The 1 run, that was unearned. Did walk 3 and struck out 4. Looks like he's going to get his 3rd straight win.
Pulls it foul. Now the 2-2. Breaking ball rings him up. 2 down in the 7th. Time now for a Mazda game break, and we send it back to the studios and Al Pulowski.
Hey, Matt, Rick, let's head up to Detroit. Check in with the Tigers and Rockies tonight. This one so far is in Detroit's favor. Victor Martinez here, an RBI single in the 7th inning. Made it 4-2 in favor of Detroit. Justin Verlander has gone 7 innings. He's in line for the win. Matt?
All right, thanks, Al. 2 down top of the order, Shin-Soo Choo. Choo has fouled out, grounded out, and lined out today. Out of play. Now a full count with 2 down in the 7th inning. Payoff pitch, smack to center. So Choo has his first hit of the night. A 2-out single in the 7th keeps the inning alive now for Elvis Andrus. And it looks like Choo will head to the bench. His night is over. We'll get a pinch runner. Dan Robertson. Andrus takes inside ball 1. Now, I was mentioning before we went to the break, though, that with Ron Washington and John Daniels, their contracts run through next year. A lot of speculation that they will both get extensions this offseason. And I think, you know, some people say, well, how can you give extensions if they're going to have the worst record in baseball? Well, I don't think you can hold people responsible for injuries and things that submarine your season. And like I said, I think, you know, under Washington and when with John Daniels, they've done a lot of really good things in Texas. Fair behind the back. Chisholm, long throw. Safe at first. Close play. Nice effort by Lonnie Chisholm on a long throw behind the bag at third.
Well, there's nothing else he could do to make that play any better. Yeah, it's great effort, and it's good speed by Andrus to beat it out. He's got to take 3 steps just to stop. and then make the throw across, and he picks it up, and he just got his foot on. That's really a nice play and a nice try.
And with 2 outs after back-to-back singles, Terry Francona is going to go to the bullpen. So we've got a timeout. Austin Adams will be coming on when we come back. Panini's overstuffed Cam and a big crowd here tonight. Beautiful night. Great tribute to Tom Hamilton, our buddy, before the ball game. Fireworks coming up afterwards, and plenty of fireworks on the field as the Indians have scored a dozen runs on 16 hits tonight. And now Austin Adams will get a chance to pitch, 3rd time this year. He's got Alex Rios coming up with 2 on and 2 out. Rios takes a swing and a foul out of plate on the right side. Rios pointing to something. I have no idea what. I don't know if there's a ball that came loose.
I'm telling you what, is that video board out there? They can't see that from the dish, I wouldn't think.
I wouldn't think so either. He's pointing to something beyond center field, but there's nothing there.
Well,
does he want the center fielder to move? Is that what it was? Oh, the umpire. I don't know. Tyler Holt's moving around in center field. He's like, you asking me to move? What the heck's going on?
No, that can't be.
He's got to be the umpire, right? He's talking to Doug Eddings?
I would think so. But why would he ever move to the other side of the field? He was in the second base side. It's a right-handed pitcher.
I just thought that was funny because Tyler Holt's out there in center field like, you looking at me?
Hey,
you talking to me?
you know?
Because he's thinking, am I in the way? Is it me?
It doesn't matter. Stay in the way with that white jersey.
Now he's hearing it from the bullpen guys. Now the umpire moved back to the second base side.
Yeah, it can't be the umpire either.
Well, Tyler Holt doesn't have to move.
No.
It's not his job to.
No, it's not.
I don't know.
He's not in any spot where that Adams would be throwing the ball out of.
Right. Strange. Bounce to third. Chisenhall will go to first, and the inning is over. No runs, 2 hits, 2 men left. Stretch time in Cleveland. The Indians 12 and the Rangers 1. 7th inning stretch brought to you by Spitzer Auto World. Life is hard. Buying a car shouldn't be.
Well, MLB on Fox Sports 1 returns tomorrow with one of baseball's premier rivalries as Derek Jeter and the Yankees will be in Boston to take on David Ortiz and the Red Sox. Special coverage begins at 3 p.m. Eastern only on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
New pitcher for Texas. As we go now to the home half of the 7th, former Twin Scott Baker. Dan Robertson stays in the game in right field. Mike AVILES straightened up with a fastball. AVILES with 3 runs batted in tonight. 2 hits, 2 runs scored. AVILES clobbers one to center, but back goes Martin to grab it one away. Michael Brantley, Rick, just keeps on keeping on. He had 3 straight hits to start the game before he flied to left his last time up.
And it took a nice catch to take him. Aducci had to slide to make that, or he could have had 4 hits. Yeah, Michael back. He's back in that 3-hit attack. He's a multi-hit machine.
Roberto Perez, a swing and a miss. Just off the outside edge. up high. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Swung on and missed. Baker gets a strikeout, 2 down.
A good breaking ball there by Baker to get the strikeout.
Well, the blowout win the Indians had over Texas back in Arlington. Lonnie Chisenhall had a night to remember. 4th player in Major League Baseball history to have 5 hits, 3 homers, and 9 runs batted in a game. Most RBIs in a series. He had 13 total. Since 1920, he's on a short list there as well.
Yeah, what a night. What a night that was. And so it's not surprising that he comes back home and goes deep as well, and he's got a couple hits, scored a couple of runs. I'll bet he can't wait for next year to get to that ballpark again.
Santana with a vicious cut, fouled right back. He's walked twice tonight. Leads the league in that category. Drove in a run with a base hit in the 3rd inning. In that game, Scott Baker went 5 innings and was tagged with 9 runs on 11 hits. Not surprising, though, the former Twin who learned under the guidance of one of the stingiest pitching coaches in the league didn't walk anybody in
Rick
that game.
Anderson, yeah. No, go ahead. I'll give up my heads, but I'm not going to walk you. That's the way you were taught, and that's the way you learn. That's the way you pitch. Now, would you rather see a guy go out and get hit out of a baseball game or walk himself out of a baseball game?
Hit every time.
No question.
At least you know he gave it his best shot.
You know what? You can live with it. You can't live with walking everybody and not staying in the game.
Santana strikes out. Baker, a perfect inning here in the 7th. But it's all Indians tonight. The Cleveland Indians and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. Indians Live presented by Conrad's coming up after the ball game. First ball swinging. Oh, what a diving stop by Ramirez from his knees. Can't quite throw him out. Terrific effort, but Adam Rosales is aboard with an infield hit here to start the 8th inning. Boy, that gives you an idea, though, why the Indians like Jose Ramirez so much. Terrific range, and just, he's got that high motor, man. He's going 100 miles an hour all the time, isn't he?
Well, you watch where this ball's hit. It's hit right back up the middle, and he's able to chase it down. I mean, almost impossible to throw him out, but he got to the baseball. Impressive.
Out of play. Tried to shoot for the outside corner, but a little bit off the plate. Fastball threw it by him. Austin Adams, the Alabama native, was a 5th-round pick of the Indians back in '09. Hit the third. Chisenhall goes to second, get the force. Unable to turn the double play, but a terrific job by Lonnie Chisenhall to flag it down, and then made a good feed to Ramirez at second to get the lead runner.
Yeah, that was a good play really all the way around. Even Ramirez get rid of it. He's got a slide. He's going to have to do a 360 turn around. Gives the good feed. Ramirez just gets it and flips it. Just throws it. So nice play by Lonnie.
Not a good-looking swing there by Aaron Sebia. Adams has had a long road to the big leagues. Like every player, he gets drafted, he goes to the minor leagues, he's working his way up the ladder, he gets to Double-A. Coming off a great year, 11-10 and 26 starts with a 3.77 ERA in his first year at Double-A, and then, boom, right shoulder surgery. He had a torn labrum rotator cuff repair. And not easy to come back from. It's not the same clearly defined path that Tommy John surgery has had. So he missed all of 2012. And since coming back, he's been a bullpen pitcher. But I tell you what, last year, pitched 45 games and had a 2.62 ERA at Double-A Akron. So good for him that he was able to come back. And
yeah, that's a tough one to come back from the shoulder. It used to be if you had the shoulder surgery, you'd never come back.
It was career over, wasn't it?
Yeah, for most part, it sure was.
Upstairs with it. Full count. 3-2 pitch. Hit hard but foul. You know, Rick, the trading deadline yesterday came and went. Lots of talk. I think we covered it. We talked about it. I thought it was interesting today, though. I was reading different things on the internet, and a national baseball writer, he listed the Indians as one of the winners at the trade deadline. I thought that was surprising because I'm thinking winners being the teams that went out and really loaded up for the stretch run kind of thing.
Right.
But this writer pointed out that, hey, the Indians knew Masterson and Cabrera were free agents at the end of the year. They knew they weren't both weren't coming back. Both were, in the words of the writer, underperforming. I think we can all agree on that. And so he said they got two guys that can, not going to be star players, but certainly could be major league players. James Ramsey, a left-handed hitting outfielder, and Zach Walters, a switch-hitting shortstop. So he felt like for what the Indians were faced with and what they got in return, thought they did a good job. I thought it was interesting.
Well, then this writer must see minor league baseball or the kids that play down there,
yeah,
to get an idea how they can.
I was thinking to myself, if you're an Indians fan, maybe you're disappointed, you're bummed out they didn't land a big name to give them a shot in the arm or a boost. What do you think the folks in Tampa were thinking? Not that they have a huge throng of followers down there at Tropicana Field, but for the diehard fans that they do have, they were making a nice little push there, pretty good little run, and all of a sudden they just yanked the plug on the whole season.
Well,
essentially.
They got to look at the whole picture here, the reality of it. Obviously, they didn't. They felt, to me, this is just looking at it from the outside, that they felt Price would be worth more now than after the offseason or in the offseason when he only has the 1 year left.
Yeah. Yeah. Inning over. Austin Adams works a scoreless 8th. Well, as promised earlier, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. David Murphy had a little break there early, but it goes as a double. He'll take it, and he slaps one through the left side of the infield. And he yanks one down the right side, just inside the bag. That drives in two. Then he punches one through the infield for an infield hit. And he's 4 for 4 tonight. Lonnie Chisenhall leading off, pops the first pitch up on the infield, one away. Mazda game break time. Here's Al Pawlowski.
All right, Matt, let's head to Baltimore, where the Mariners have headed after they left Cleveland. Tonight's game, a quick one. The Orioles win it 2-1. J.J. Hardy, a single here in the 6th to knock in the go-ahead run and the game-winning run. Baltimore still the leader in the American League East, Matt.
All right, thanks, Al. Toronto, Houston 1-1 there in the 7th inning. The Blue Jays went into today having won 6 in a row. And they need to win to keep pace with Baltimore in the AL East. And a foul back. Fouled right back. Nick Swisher is going to be called out on strikes here, 2 down. Baker has struck out 3 of the 5 hitters he has faced. In-game box score brought to you by Hyundai. It's been a good night for the Indians swinging the bats. Michael Brantley 3 hits. Murphy a perfect 4 for 4. Chisenhall has gone deep. Aviles has driven in 3. Everybody has contributed tonight. Down the line, slicing out of play. Tyler Holt trying to exact some revenge. He was hit by a pitch in his first big league plate appearance in the 6th inning. The Indians were on the field. They were already taking batting practice, and Tyler was in the clubhouse just arriving, unpacking his bag, trying to get his uniform on and get out on the field.
Yeah, but you hurry when you're coming this way. Take the elevator up to the top floor, baby. Let's go. Get everything out of that bag. If it was going back down, it'd be a little different.
Yeah. Now the 0-2 pitch. Baker locks him up with a breaking ball, and the inning is over. Go to the 9th. 12-1 Tribe. Indians Live, presented by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. It's coming up next here on Sports Time Ohio. Indians with a 12-1 lead, and Carlos Carrasco coming on now to pitch the ninth for Cleveland.
Carrasco on for the 29th time. 4 games he has started this year, but really done a nice job for the Indians out of the bullpen. So he will get some work. A big offensive night for the Tribe and their bat. 16 hits, 12 runs. Salazar looking for his 3rd straight win. So a lot of good things happening tonight down at the ballpark.
Robinson Chirinos doubled and scored the Rangers' only run back in the 5th. It was an unearned run. And a ground ball right at the second baseman, Ramirez. 1 away. Looking back at our keys to the game, courtesy of Wayside Furniture. The Indians lost 3 straight series openers, but dominating here tonight. And Danny Salazar, he had one little rough patch, just as he did in that start against Minnesota, but he was able to overcome that, gave up 1 unearned run. So you have to like what you saw from Salazar tonight. I like the fact, too, he's making an effort to try to be a pitcher. He's not just trying to rear back and throw it by every single hitter. And that's the only way he's going to learn and get better, is to continue to work on those secondary pitches.
After Callaway went out there and visited him, he really settled in and started to throw about 70% strikes. I don't know what he told him or what he said. And then he started to settle down and get outs on 3 pitches or less, which, boy, if you can get him to do that with his stuff, it would be tremendous.
Yeah, Mickey is looking for guys to step to the forefront and take up some of the slack left by the departure of Justin Masterson and the inability of Zach McAllister to grab one of those roles. Santana, nice backhander. Oh, and a good flip to Carrasco. 2 away. Two down in the ninth. 27,009 the attendance tonight. Another big crowd will be here tomorrow. Probably be close to capacity, I would imagine.
I would think so. Big weekend for Dim Tomey, the unveiling of that statue.
If you don't have tickets, though, folks, you won't miss any of it. We'll carry it for you right here on Sports Time Ohio. In fact, they're going to have the entire ceremony. They're going to air it on Indians Live 6 p.m. tomorrow night. Upstairs, ball 1. Dan Robertson's first trip to the plate tonight. Came on as a pinch runner for CHOO in the 7th. Carlos Carrasco seems to have really taken to his new role in the bullpen. He's been gaining confidence with each outing, throwing a lot of strikes. And we're seeing more velocity, which is always good. 97, 98, 96, depending on the location sometimes, but got that good fastball and then the slider for his put-away pitch. Fastball up the middle, and it's by AVILES into center field, a 2-out single. Keeps the inning alive for Elvis Andrus. Elvis Andrus, base hit his last time up. Runner goes. And it's low, ball one. Crowd of over 27,000 on their feet. They want fireworks. They've seen plenty of it on the field tonight. Now they want to see it in the sky. Carrasco and Perez converse over the game plan with Andrus at the plate. He's a good hitter. He's not going to give away an at bat just because it's a 12-1 game. Bullseye, and it's 2-1. Carlos Carrasco lets it fly, and Andrus with a line drive single into center field. And that's going to bring home Robertson. And the Rangers score here in the ninth. Andrus with his 29th run batted in on the year. And his second hit tonight.
Shot this one right back up the middle. And you're right, it doesn't matter what the score is. He's going to put a quality at bat up there. He lines it into center field. It's now a 12-2 game. Rangers now with nine hits. That'll give RIOS an opportunity.
RIOS 0 for 4 tonight. RIOS takes a strike. 1-1 to count. Swung on and missed. Chased one in the dirt. Everybody up now, 27,000. Having a good night on this, the 1st of August. Blowing away, and it's 2-2. A little bit low, full count. Fouled off. Detroit beat Colorado 4-2. Boston beat New York 4-3. Toronto, Houston still 1-1. They're in the 8th. Payoff pitch. Out of play down the right side. Angels lead Tampa Bay 5-3. They're in the 9th down in St. Pete. Again, a payoff pitch for Carrasco. And again, it's fouled out of play. This will be the 9th pitch of the at-bat for Alex Rios. So after 2 quick outs, Dan Robertson singled up the middle. Elvis Andrus singled him home. And now Rios awaiting a 3-2 pitch. High pop, shallow left center. And Mike Aviles goes all the way out to grab it. Well, the Indians ended July with a whimper, but they open August with a mighty roar as they thump the Texas Rangers tonight by a final score of 12-2. Win gets the Indians within a game of 500 at 54-55. Rangers drop to 43-66. Danny Salazar the winner. He's 4-4. Jerome Williams the loser. He's 2-5 on the year. Time now for a key play of the game, brought to you by KeyBank.
Well, let's go back to David Murphy in that 5th inning, who had a tremendous at-bat. He ends up getting a double with the bases loaded, and that really opened up the ball game, and the Indians just continued to cruise from that point on. They did a lot of damage tonight, scored in a lot of different innings. That's going to be our KeyBank key play of the game, brought to you by KeyBank.
Good series opening win for the Indians, and we've got some final thoughts when we come back.